totally just made your soda go flat.
Yeah, did anyone hear that? Wait, hold on.
It was not as good as like when I do it. It's kind of like muffled. The mic's not picking it up.
It's not. Yeah.
So what a wonderful like time that we live in right now.
Yeah.
We have been through like so many different revolutionary times from technology, the internet. Now we got the AI revolution.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And I was kind of thinking back to like
those Sasquatch videos. Oh my God.
Those Sasquatch videos are so funny. Yeah. Oh my God.
Where are you going with this?
But, of the last 100 years, I was trying to figure out like, what's like the best invention that we have, been able to integrate into our lives.
Mountain bike.
Mountain bike that's a good one for a mountain bike podcast. I like it, but no, I think it's the dry erase board.
What? I use that. So
it has to be the most remarkable. Not good.
The joke's still bad, but your delivery was pretty damn good. I got to say
that's pretty consistent.
I was pulled in. I was definitely pulled in. So
right on. Yeah. Well, let's see. It is Wednesday night, which I think we all were trying to figure out what day it was. All three of us at one point today asked what day it was.
Yeah.
Here on the MCP, and we are here. If you didn't know, in Mike, you correct me if I got my facts wrong here, but in 2022, I believe Stan and Cindy sold stands.
Yeah, that's correct. Deal closed May 31st, 2022.
Wow.
2022. And I think you are still CEO and president of Stands. Do I have that right?
Yeah, I go by president, but it really doesn't matter.
So Stands, NoTubes.
Yeah.
How you doing today, sir?
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, back from Eurobike and ready to chat it up here.
Yeah, it's a long flight. I'm sure you're a little fuzzy, but man, I'm envious because I'd love to go see all that stuff. I really want to go. I miss Interbike. I miss seeing all the new stuff because everybody puts it out online right away.
Yeah.
But you still don't get to go see those little nuggets of new stuff, that don't make it out onto whoever's review.
Yeah. It's different to like hold it in your hand than it is to like see it in a video.
And some of the outfits, I remember Interbike, the outfits of people, reading their shirts, what their shirts said.
Yeah.
I remember for a little time at Interbike, all the pro dirt jumpers and stuff would rent Rascals and drive around with Rascals. Around the trade show instead of actually walking,
that's funny.
So
how was Eurobike this year?
It was still a good show for us. So a number of brands elected not to attend, and quite a few distributors chose not to attend as well, including our German distributor.
Oh wow!
Okay.
So we were boothless this year for the first time, and I think I've been to 18 or 19 Eurobikes.
Oh my gosh!
And different experience, but a lot of meetings, a lot of good interaction, just less brands to visit on the floor.
18 or 19 Eurobikes. Jeez, Mike, like what's your background? Like what's your history? How'd you get into the bike industry?
Yeah, I guess, go back to the early days. I don't have the story of, being the Grom sweeping the floor. I shouldn't even tell you this. I've never worked bicycle retail.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh.
You
might be the first person we've talked to in the industry that didn't work in retail.
I know.
Well, except for the trail builders.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, so I got an engineering degree from Penn State and moved to New York State right after, and I've been riding all along and met Stan and Cindy pretty much as soon as I moved there. They had just started NoTubes at the time, went by NoTubes then, and started helping them out kind of on the side projects for me, but supported them. There was only the two of them really in the beginning, and then I worked real jobs in subway car manufacturing and then in aircraft manufacturing with Schweitzer and Sikorsky. So I played with helicopters and things of that nature prior to getting fully involved in bikes. But I would take vacation from those jobs and go to Interbike and help them out and go to Pedro's Fest and nights and weekends in my kitchen doing design work for Stan and so on. And then at some point they said, we need you full time. And I told the guys at Schweitzer, and one of the people that was in charge there, one of the Schweitzer family, said, I like bikes, you should go do it. And if it doesn't work, you can come back.
Oh,
That's
there you go.
cool.
Yeah.
That's super cool. So he's where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
Right. So I work for Raytheon. Right. And I'm like, okay, I want to stop doing this and go, do stuff with bikes.
Yes. As long as you're independently wealthy, it'll work out nice.
Yeah. Best way to make.
Yeah, I was young and dumb. So,
Mike, were you a mechanical engineer?
no, industrial and manufacturing.
Okay. Right on.
So I've done a bit of design work and some extra mechanical courses. But
okay. So do I get it? So he said the word. So industrial engineer.
Go ahead.
Okay. Because we talked to Faction and they were talking about industrial designer.
Different.
So what's the difference? The engineer figures out how to make it work?
Yeah, industrial engineering, manufacturing engineering is really the processes and methods to make things.
Okay.
So that's where it came from. So it's,
you're figuring
some
out.
people lean more towards like operations research and ergonomics studies and things of that nature. And I was more into the actual manufacturing and design work and design for manufacturing. So
that's cool. Did you do anything like designing the machines that like do some of the manufacturing?
We worked on machine automation. We did, if there was a particular widget we needed quickly, that's where my extra background came in. And we didn't want to run to design engineering. They were too busy. I could just draw it up and have somebody make the prototype. And if it worked, we never bothered design engineering with it, and we just made it.
Yeah. We had some machines when I was in manufacturing that were amazing. Like, they take a piece of metal and bend it like 3 different ways automatically, and then cut it off and then just drop it in a bin. And then another one would shoot right out. And just to see that stuff is pretty cool. So,
we need to go to Taiwan.
I
need to take you through some factories.
Yeah. Just watching how it's made on whatever channel it's on.
Discovery Channel.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. It was just great. Just seeing those machines and like seeing how they work, watching a spring being made is pretty cool. So
Mike, you've been with NoTubes since the very beginning.
Yeah, I missed about 6 months of them figuring it out early on, but I've been around ever since. So about 4 years of what I call consulting, for lack of a better term. And then first June was 20 years on the payroll. So,
wow. That's amazing. Yeah. I remember when stands came around. I remember everything.
Right at the beginning.
Pretty much day one, yeah. So, and seeing them pop on the radar, at the bike shop. And so,
this is our 25th year this year.
Wow.
So.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
God, have we been running tubeless for 25 years?
Hopefully. So
hard to believe, huh?
Yeah.
It is hard to believe, right?
Yeah, it's true.
It seems like it wasn't that long ago that we were putting tubes and dealing with that crap.
Well, and stands, I feel like really, the 2 companies that I attribute to tubeless are Mavic, because they have the UST, and stands. That's it. They are the 2 that basically, that's why we have tubeless, those 2 companies. So, and Mavic standard kind of fell away because it was really precise. Stance was like, we'll make anything work, basically. You didn't have to buy a special rim and a special tire. All of a sudden,
Gorilla Tape and stands, and you're good.
No, it wasn't.
Don't say Gorilla Tape.
Yeah, I was going to say.
That bad?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wait. Okay. No, Mike. Why not say Gorilla Tape?
It's a bad word in bikes right now.
The principle's okay, right? So our very first version of conversion was 2 different types of tape. It was a 3M strapping tape and electrical tape over top. And we started to figure out which designs that worked better with and which ones didn't. And then came up with a rubber rim strip system to make that easier for folks. And then again, looked at that and said, why does this one work better than that one? We had special contours to the shape, the profile of the rubber strips, and eventually designed rims that didn't need it.
Yeah.
So that moved us completely from converting standard tube type into what we basically know today is tubeless ready. Kind of bypassed the UST pieces. It was so limited on tires and rims at the time. But Gorilla Tape applied into a rim that's intended to have something thin, like our yellow tape you're probably familiar with now.
Yep.
One, it's thicker, and our tolerances are much tighter than that difference in thickness.
Right.
So it can affect how you mount and inflate tires. But fundamentally, Gorilla Tape is porous. So it is not airtight like the tapes we use for true tubeless ready, I would call it. And then as the moisture from the sealant and so on gets in through that airtight membrane on the outside of Gorilla Tape, it saturates the adhesive.
Yep, and then
it becomes an absolute nightmare to remove or
it's
deal
gummy.
with.
Yeah, I don't think it actually gets loose. It gets like It's like bubble
Oh,
gum. It's nasty.
yeah,
So we
it's
always
bad.
say if you use Gorilla, you will use Gorilla for the rest of your life, the rest of that rim's life, because cleaning it off is just
It's
horrible.
impossible.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So we won't mention Gorilla Tape again on this episode.
No, yeah, like it's crazy. But one of the things that they did that was really revolutionary, like he said, they changed the rims. They raised the bead seat. Did I say that correctly? Up to keep the tire from not being able to basically push off when it was aired up. And so that was one of the biggest things that changed tubeless. And now all the wheels
Are built, all the rims are
whether
built that
they're
way.
stands or not, are built that way. So it's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
I won't take the next hour and a half and explain to you how those dimensions all worked, but
Yep.
that's the basics right there.
Yeah.
The bead seat is in fact larger than what was the defined standard at the time,
Yeah.
and that's what made tires fit. And we've gone to great lengths to prove that point as ETRTO and ISO standards were revised. I pulled back the curtain on we did a lot of CT scans of tires mounted and inflated on different rims and just demonstrated what we call bead float, how much that bead would lift off of the rim.
Yeah.
And that's why tires burped and so forth.
I had an early one blow off. And
I remember that happened actually rather frequently to folks.
Yep. Yeah, we would air them up on the other side of this little door in the corral, in the shop corral. You'd put the the wheel on the other side and you would air it up.
So it wouldn't blow off and get you.
And you had to 40, I think, was the max PSI. Mm-hmm. So, and it took a, I don't know, remember that was a couple years of it being like that. And then they came out with their bead seat height difference. And then we were still doing that because we're gun shy for another year or so before we realized none of them had a problem.
You don't need to do it anymore.
And then, now it's like you air them up in your hand, so... Yeah. Which back then
tire beads have improved greatly. Construction's better, quality control's better.
Yeah,
you're less likely to damage a bead on install, etc. So much safer than when things started out.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, and all they were doing was sealant, really, at the beginning, sealant and tape. So,
so Mike, one of the things we were interested in talking to you about, we got a lot of things to cover, but Dane being a suspension tech and having a suspension specific company along with his bike shop. And me being a corporate strategist, dealing with mergers, acquisitions, all that kind of stuff, the stands and WPL got on our radar screen, and we haven't heard a lot about it. It was kind of just like a sub note. And so I'd love to hear like how that came about and what you guys' plans are. If you could tell us a little bit about the marriage between stands and WPL.
Yeah, I guess go back a little ways. Sealant, obviously, like I said, how he got started and has become pretty important part of a lot of the service areas of shops, whether they're using a competitor or not. A lot of times the term stands is used generically to
it's like Kleenex.
Kleenex.
Yeah. It's a good and a bad thing, right? Yeah. It gets used all over the place, but not necessarily to our benefit in some cases. But my piece of it is that service is critical across the board, and we're seeing more mobile service only type operations or service only workshops. Bikes become more complicated. I don't have to explain this to you guys, between diagnostics of motors and hydraulic systems and suspension, et cetera, et cetera. I see the local shop and the trained mechanic as being hypercritical for cycling here forward. And whether it's a well-skilled home mechanic or the professional, we're going to continue to lean into service. So we've had this on the product roadmap for a long time. We're quite good at all the sealant ever made for stands has been made in our own facility. We blend it, we bottle it, we QC it, etc. Ship it around the world. So we ship a lot of New York water around the world. I like to joke, but it's made in our own facility, and we've done quite well at moving liquids, which is not an easy thing to do logistically. So we knew liquids was a space we wanted to be involved with. And we don't have chemists on board and so on. Sealant was developed in-house. We've not used outsiders for that, but that's kind of where our expertise stops. So you always have the option, and you're going to be familiar with this, Josh, is build it or buy it.
Right.
And for us, we want differentiated products. I can get super nerdy on sealant and rims and all kinds of other things and how we can differentiate. And even if it's nuanced stuff, it makes a difference. So in looking for a buy it option, effectively, we knew WPL was on the market. It had been out there, and we said, it wasn't the right time for us initially. And it came back around again, and we got to meet the founders, Isaac and Alejandro, and what they had done with the brand and where they had set it up. Products were well received by the market, etc. They just had a hard time getting distribution, which is not unusual.
Yep. But you guys
How
had
you
those
get your
distribution channels, right?
Yeah, we're sold in over 60 countries. That's something we built over 25 years. So we had those channels. We're well established in the service component, and everything just kind of aligned. The timing was good. They were ready to move on to some other projects. That said, Alejandro is still working with us, and yeah, just kind of all came together. So that was, make sure I get the dates right, December of 23.
Okay.
Yeah, December 2023. And they had a good bit of inventory and so on. We're all coming out of COVID and so on and so forth. And so we wanted to maintain the WPL name. We didn't want to really lose that because it was well established, smaller, but well established. So we had to work through inventory, work through bottling, work through supply chain changes, kind of streamlining that a little bit. So that took a good portion of 24. But we started talking about stands with these new products at Eurobike last year. So didn't make a big splash or a big deal out of it necessarily, but it was kind of the transition point. Started moving into that. So here we are now a year later. All the products are in. We've ironed out most of the supply chain challenges. It's getting out into the world through our channels. We're about to put some new POP displays out into the world and stake our claim in the retail space, etc. But that, in a nutshell, is how it came to be part of the Stands family. And now, podcasts like this and other things, we need to start pushing that word a bit more, that it's available and it's us and we stand behind it, but it's still basically a fully Canadian supply chain. And Alejandro, the father in the equation there, is a very skilled chemist and continues to work with us on maintaining quality of what they were doing, but also developing some new products.
And so WPL is Whistler Performance Lubricants. Is that right?
Yes, they changed the name to Whistler Performance Labs at one point,
Labs?
but
Okay. Yeah.
all the same, it's
Yeah.
People know it as WPL, and
Yep.
its largest market was, of course, Canada.
Yeah.
So
I used quite a bit of it. I've still got some in the shop. So it always made me salad hungry, wanting a salad. Like it's vegetable based, I guess, or bio based is a better way to say it.
product.
But it had a distinct smell that smelled like
Cooking
vegetable
oil?
oil. Yeah.
Yeah.
So and the big thing was it's much better for the earth. It's not a synthetic oil. It's not it's if you drop it on the ground, nobody's panicking. So
yeah.
So Michael,
that's part of the differentiated. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
That's part of the differentiated product for us. So Stand Sealant has always been biodegradable. Again, sometimes we're not good about telling our own story.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's biodegradable, and it was only last year that we actually did the OECD 301B biodegradability test to get the stamp of approval and be able to talk about it more. But biodegradable sealant, because we use natural latex and so on, and the additives are natural as well. And then the bio-based factor of WPL products coming into the line. So that's a USDA-certified bio-preferred program, has to go through third-party evaluation. I think the lowest percentage we have is 97% bio-based across the product range.
Oh, wow.
So,
hey, do you have any tricks for getting stands out of your clothes?
I don't. Well, believe me, it's ruined a lot of stuff in my life.
Oh yeah,
But
it's tenacious.
the best thing to do is cold water quickly.
Yeah,
that's really the best thing.
Cold water quickly.
Yeah.
So staying on WPL, I'm just looking at your website right now, and I'm seeing 6 products that are at least on your website right now under the bicycle care, bio-based bicycle care. I don't know if there's more, but maybe could you take us through the products that you guys have in this line?
Drew Hanna, our product manager, would know the SKU count better than I would, but I think we're at 13 SKUs right now, but there's a couple of variants in there. So we do a wet chain lube, a dry chain lube, and then the fork boost in kind of the lubricant category, although we can talk more about fork boost and its lubricant properties. And then we do a bio-based bike wash, a grease in 2 different sizes, and suspension oil in 5 different weights. So that's kind of the basis of it right now. There will be a new product coming, like I said, in September timeframe for drivetrain cleaner.
Oh, okay.
But,
on your dry lube, what's your like what's the elevator pitch on the dry lube? Because
Yeah,
we do a lot of dry lube.
We're in the desert,
In the
so
desert,
we
yeah.
like dry lube.
Yeah. So it's the solvent basically that flashes off is ethanol. So that's bio-based, of course. But if you dig into the science behind it, Alejandro could explain this a million times better than I can.
Sure.
Basically, it's going to run clean because of these esters that he works with. He comes from a food science background, so that's how we got here. But
That's interesting.
Yeah.
it's something, yeah. I think if you haven't tried it, we have to get it to you. So there's no Teflons and so on, and it just creates a thin film that runs clean. It's unbelievably clean, actually. So
It's appealing to me because I don't like cleaning my bike just because we're in the desert
And you're lazy.
and I'm lazy and we don't need to. We don't get the mud, you know, like, you know, I just looked at one of the World Cup races and I don't know, the hot shot downhiller kid who like weighs nothing. I saw
Jackson Goldstone?
I saw his bike and it's just covered in dirt. You know, you have to clean that. You have to take a hose to that. We're so lucky.
The bike that's like 6 sizes too big for him.
Yep. Yeah.
And the kid weighs like 80 pounds and just dances over everything.
He's riding in those conditions, and Europe that gets that, the Pacific Northwest, they get that. You know, I went through a puddle at Whistler. That was about it. So like it was so dry up there. So we're just lucky, but the dry lubes are just great because they tend to just not attract anything, just flake off dirt and then keep your drivetrain running. And maybe you have to put it on more often, and that's pretty normal, you know. So.
Right. We've even had experiences using it in some wet conditions. You know, here in the East Coast, we get a real mixed bag, and even with some exposure to water, it holds up really well.
Oh, that's good to hear too. So, and then the suspension oil I've used, it's been great. I got to tell you, it doesn't smell as bad as some of them. So, and that's no joke, you know, like when you're working in it all day and covering yourself pretty much in it. I haven't tried the grease or the bike wash or anything.
Nope.
So,
Well, make sure you get a chance to try these out. But the wet lube is a popular product. The Fork Boost has been the most popular product through the years. Suspension oil is, I think, something that people will become more familiar with over time. And there's maybe some skepticism around the suspension oils. But if you look at like the ocean freight industry and shipping industries in general, they have to use bio-based oils and lubricants. So these products are done by a vendor for us in Canada that produces a lot of material for those industries and for automotive industries. So it's top quality stuff, and we're doing some third-party testing now to kind of show where it stacks up.
oh, that'd be good to see. I'd like to see that. So,
Tell us a little bit about the Fork Boost. You said that's been your most popular product.
Yeah, it was the most popular product coming out of WPL's ownership. We just rebranded and updated the bottles to the ocean plastic and things like that. But it's not, and probably very important for someone that works on a lot of suspension. This does not replace regular service.
yeah.
He was going to say that anyways.
Yeah.
Do your basic service, do the full service, when you're supposed to, by the hours. It does not do that. It helps clean the stanchions a bit, and can remove and pull some of the grit and grime that gets stuck just behind that first, the top portion of the seal. So you can get, especially you guys probably get, the dust and light dirt down inside there.
Yep.
So you just apply Fork Boost in a ring around the stanchion, very lightly above the seal, cycle the suspension a few times, and wipe it all off again. Yeah. And when you cycle it a few times, you'll see it just captures some dust and dirt and pulls it up out of there. So it's not left between the two lips of the seal to kind of wear away the stanchion coatings. So it's just something you'd use every few rides as needed. No need to apply it heavy. You don't want to leave it on there. It's just a wipe the stanchion, apply it, cycle, wipe it off again.
Yeah, one of the things that people don't know, and if you get into like the nerd out of the sealing surface, the Kashima code or whatever brand there, that if you look at that at a microscope, there's a lot of pits and valleys to it. And so one of the things that kind of degrades suspension performance is if it's too clean. Like you need some lubricant in those little holes,
to fill in the gaps.
Yep. Yeah. And so that's been an issue where, when a fork feels so good because it's been serviced, it's also because we don't go and like
scrub it.
Yeah. Like I don't use alcohol or anything to take that off. It's almost cleaned with oil. So, but that fork boost probably helps keep that going longer past when the wipers will weep a little bit, and they'll kind of self-do that over time, but eventually that goes away. So,
and then you were about to tell us all about the gritty secret details of what you're releasing in the fall.
oh yeah.
Yeah. So
I keep trying to get companies to do this, and that none of them bite, man.
Well, and honestly, if you do want to talk about new release stuff, that all you have to do is put a date on when you want us to talk about it. So if it is something that you want to get out there and have on the program, we would love that, and we can keep a secret till you tell us. So.
yeah, it's not the world's biggest secret. You can use it when you like, but we do have a drivetrain cleaner coming out.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
It will be available for everyone should be around the 1st of September. Might be a little bit earlier to the North American market, but we'll be in around that time. So it's not, this next major release or anything, but if you're going to potentially move away from Teflon-based lubricants or some other wet or dry lubricants, you want to have a clean chain and clean drivetrain. So we feel we should provide you with a really quality cleaner to do that. That is also safe to, like you say, have on your hands all day and do those types of things.
One of the things that I'm getting from this podcast already is I had no idea how thoughtful Stans is about the environment. And I mean, hearing that they're using ocean plastics, they're making biodegradable. I didn't even know the sealant was, usually, I tell people, hey, when you change a flat, just dump that stuff out on the trail. You get sideways looks, but knowing that if you're doing that, you're not ruining the environment, when you're putting a tube in to get home, because you cut a sidewall or something. So that's new information for me. I really like to hear that. So
we try and do what we can where we can. We're not perfect. I still have a gas guzzling SUV, I ride a dirt bike sometimes. But our New York facility is solar powered. We put more back in the grid than we use.
Nice.
That's hard to do in New York State. I think there's 230 panels on the roof, something like that.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
We use ocean plastic where we can. We do the biodegradable, which, that's something that some of the other competing products in the market, they might do things well, they might not. But if they're using a synthetic latex, which there's been this kind of steady drumbeat of synthetic doesn't have ammonia in it, yada, yada, yada. Okay, great. But it's a petroleum product at the end of the day.
Yeah.
There's mostly petroleum derived products, and that's what you would be dumping out on the trail. And that's just not my style.
So is ammonia something that's just a byproduct of the latex you use, or do you have to add ammonia in?
No, so the normal way when natural latex is harvested from the tree is that they add a small percentage of ammonia as a preservative, prevents bacteria growth and so on, and it also prevents some premature coagulation, et cetera. So that's super common. There are natural latexes starting to become more and more available that don't use ammonia. They use other things for that, creating that stability and preventing bacterial growth. They're just harder to come by, more expensive, et cetera. So when we receive the blend that we use, it's less than 1% ammonia.
So it's a tiny.
That still can be a pretty pungent smell.
Yeah.
We dilute it further. So we bring in this blend that's done for us specifically, and then, like I said, I mentioned New York water, and there's other additives that make it last longer and do certain things.
The smell may be from the New York water. So.
Could be. But by the time we have it in the bottle, it's less than 0.1%.
Okay.
So there's really nothing in there that causes any sort of harm or damage. You do get a little bit of a scent, and we could add another chemical or something to mask the scent, but why?
Yeah, you're trying to reduce the amount of chemicals anyway. Can I bring up an old subject that's maybe a soft spot or a sore spot for you? This is old though, but he's been in it.
Why are we bringing up old stuff?
Just because this is the first time I've actually been able to ask about it. But in the shop, we used to get the blister problem. Do you remember that? The blisters. And so basically what would happen is a customer would come in with a tire, and it's got this big, looks like a pimple or blister on the tire. And what would happen, there's a particular brand of tire that we've already kind of beaten up.
Maxxis?
Maybe. And it was, at the time, one of the only sealant companies on the market. So this is how long ago this was. And they would point fingers at each other. And like, as a shop, we never know, and basically one would say, oh no, it's not our product, it's their product reacting with ours. And then the other one's like, no, it's not our product, it's their product that's defective, and
So what's the truth, Mike?
yeah.
What was going on?
So I'm not a tire manufacturer. I've spent time around them, and we had a lot of discussions back in those days
Yeah,
about
I
what was
imagine.
going on with different things. And yeah, we were certainly being blamed for a lot of it. But thick skin over here. So
Okay.
we did our own studies internally and prepared some reports and went to Taiwan and met with some folks and said it was largely their U.S. marketing. Not, and this isn't specific to Maxxis. I use their tires all the time. We support each other with rims and tires and so forth. But uh, we presented our reports, and the sales and marketing team was in the room, and they brought in the engineers. The engineers looked at us and said, "Yeah, we know." Apparently, in the tire manufacturing world, we're going back 20 years with
Yeah.
this
Yeah. This is old
issue.
stuff.
Yeah,
But
this is not a current issue.
It's not something we see hardly at all.
there was some difficulty in having the nylon and the rubber sticking together within the casing. So you have the nylon casing and the
Yeah.
tread cap, and it's all molded together, etc. If those two would separate just naturally from sharp edge impacts, what have you, and that casing came away from the tread rubber a little bit, air was going to get in there, and then sealant would often seal that air pocket closed. So you would have this bubble form that looked
Yeah.
like
So your product was doing
came
what it's
from
supposed
milk.
to do. It was sealing the tire.
Largely, yeah, it was trying to fill that hole in the casing where they had separated and delaminated. And there are similar issues with casing shifting in certain brands and things like that, where it's hard to make those things stick together 100% every single time.
Yeah.
And basically, we proved the point by we were running drum tests, quite common on rims and tires, and had never even had the tires in the same room with sealant, and we're creating the same bubbles.
Oh, wow.
And then saying, well, clearly it can't be sealant, right? So that's how we overcame that. And I said, manufacturing of tires has gotten better from beads to the construction to, I mean, look how many options we have now with
Yeah.
all the types.
It's definitely not something we ever see. I haven't seen one in so long. So, but I'll tell you, there was some companies that didn't have that problem. So
Ones that don't have the separation as much.
yeah. And like
We
those
talked about that before. Actually.
those companies are still going, and I very rarely see problems with them. And the company I saw problems with still has problems from time to time. So not throwing anybody under the bus, but yeah, I would definitely point more at the tire than I would the sealant. That's for sure.
So let's fast forward 20 years, 2
Yeah.
decades to today.
Yeah. Sorry.
And that's okay.
Hey, old people need to reminisce.
Okay.
So
I hear you.
I'm just saying.
I hear you. What's the difference between your original and race day sealant?
So it's really pretty simple. The liquid base of them is identical.
Okay.
So everybody knows they're known as sealing crystals. It's particulate, and pretty much every sealant uses some kind of particulate to help plug the holes. So in our case, we have this standard formula, the original formula of particulate. Consider that 1 dose per bottle, and then in the race day, we use 2 doses basically, and then we add an additional extra large particulate in there for the much bigger holes. So really pretty similar. Race day is much harder for us to produce, even though it sounds simple. But that's really it. You just don't put race day through a valve stem. Don't try to, and you'll be fine. And don't put it through our injector system either. It won't work. It'll plug it up instantly. But
so if it seals better, why wouldn't I just run it every day?
Well, some people do.
Yeah, but those 2 reasons.
Just
it's
you got to pop the bead.
Easier to put the other stuff in. So
Okay.
like race day.
What I'll often do, and some of us in the office do, is when we set up new tires, we'll set them up with race, and then we'll continue to top them off through the next several months while you kill the tire with just original. So some of that large particulate still left inside, and you're just refreshing the liquid by and large.
Interesting.
Yeah, I like that idea. That was verbatim what they told me. And so. We were carrying race day, but basically the idea is the bigger particles will plug more so that you don't lose your race, and so you're less likely to have a flat for a race.
It can be a little more maintenance intensively, so you have to open the tire bead. Not everybody wants to do that all the time. It can, the famous Stanimal can form a little bit quicker because that's largely driven by the particulate. So you'd want to clean those out.
What makes those?
It's the latex drying over time and the particulate being picked up. So it kind of snowballs a little bit and it creates the
They're
coral shaped
crazy.
stanimal.
At one point, we had a contest for who could bring in the biggest one, and a guy won because he had it in fat tires or in a fat bike, and they were huge. It was bigger than a regular tire, you know.
Yeah. See, it doesn't form as much now. I think there's some differences in the mold releases that get used and so on. There's a little bit of speculation there because nobody will tell you what they use. And yeah, we've done some slight adjustments through the years. Again, it's 20 plus years now. So you shouldn't see those form quite as readily.
Yeah, I always thought somebody told me once that it was CO2 freezing it into a ball when you use CO2.
It's an interesting theory
because I never had Stanimals in any of mine, and I never use CO2. And so it supported my confirmation bias. Yeah. And but then just recently I had a Stanimal in one of mine. So, but yeah, those things are awesome. I still have a couple sitting on the shelf at the shop always.
I think I do too.
Yeah.
All right, we were taking a look at your ExoCor valves. Neither of us have used them.
No.
Maybe talk us through those and what's the value proposition of a ExoCor valve?
Yeah, we introduced ExoCor last year. Really, we were thinking about this for a long, long time, and the Presta valve that we all know was invented about 125 years ago, and at the time they did not consider using sealant. Believe it or not, was not a factor when that was invented. So obviously you can replace valve cores. We've shown people how to clean valve cores, et cetera. It's not a big deal to change one out. But we wanted to kind of take a fresh look at it, and we said, well, the first thing we want to deal with, being stands, is sealant. What would make a valve work better with sealant? And then the second piece was, of course, increased airflow. It isn't going to hurt anybody. Just makes inflation easier. And the Santa Cruz Reserve did a great job with airflow, and really have nothing bad to say about that design. But I don't believe they were thinking sealant first when they did it. I've never actually talked to them about it. But they were kind of the first one of what I termed the super valve category.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the benchmark when we were working on ExoCor. Based on their design, you can't inject sealant through the valve very well. It's just a very long poppet style valve, and then the O-ring at the bottom can still collect sealant a bit. Natural latex like that loves to stick to rubber, so that can be a bit of an issue. So taking our fresh approach, we were saying, well, can we get the same airflow that they did? And that's a tall order. We got close, but trying to deal with sealant through exposure to a small Presta valve core, you've got a lot of little narrow passages and several different materials in there. So we said, can we take that thing out? What's a cleaner way? Well, it's a long brass pin, effectively, and yeah, we wanted it to be serviceable without tools, and you could still take off the whole housing and do straight through the valve for injecting sealant. And we also wanted to make sure that it worked with every Presta pump and gauge and so on that was out there. We didn't want to create a new standard that forced you into a different pump or, change all your tool. Who wants to change all their floor pumps? We've all got several of them, I'm guessing. So that was how we came about it. We did lots and lots of iterations and a lot of airflow testing. So we're measuring standard liters per minute. So what pressure does it take to achieve 100 standard liters per minute airflow? And like I said, we got very close to where reserve is at. And I think we addressed the sealant quite well. So if you have an ExoCor in your hand and you want to clean it, you just unthread the housing itself and pull the pin out, wipe it off, and put it back in. You're done.
Oh, okay. So that's the big difference. So it's not like you just move the Presta core up high or anything like that. And then when that pin is in there, is it dropping farther down to create a bigger passage? Like, is the cone?
Yeah, kind of. When it's fully opened, the bottom, there's like 3 little wings on the bottom.
Yeah.
Will sit on the top of the valve stem. So you've got 3 large passages for the air to move through.
Okay.
And then at the top, there are like 3 windows at the top of the housing to allow the air into the housing itself. So
okay.
It's a pretty handy little system. You only have to open it a half to 2 turns to get max airflow. And like I said, we're just shy of where reserve is at for maximum airflow.
I feel like you guys are in a prime place to kind of change a standard. Not that, and right now every bike mechanic in the whole world just groaned.
Yeah,
You know,
I did too. I'm not even a bike mechanic.
Yeah, because I'm envisioning a Schrader valve hole, but a valve that has a Presta top, so that you can inject it into a bigger valve. You know, and nobody's come up with that. And a company like Stan's is unique because they're not just making the valve; they're also making the rims. So they could easily do that. And then they also have, I don't know if you knew this, they have Schrader valve cores.
Yep.
Which is great, which we've used for those people that have kind of like drilled out their rims and then realized they wanted to go tubeless. And so I feel like that would be something that would work too for high flow, you know, so.
I think that's always the first reaction. Why don't we all just use Schrader?
Yeah.
And,
Why don't we, you know?
So it does require a larger hole, which
Yeah.
when rims were narrow was a problem.
Yeah.
So now that they're all wider, sure, you've got space for it. In the airflow testing we've done, Schrader valves do not move more air than a Presta valve.
Okay.
It is the same amount of airflow, like within a tenth of the standard or the pressure that we're measuring for standard liters. So it doesn't offer anything that way. It's easier to fill up at the gas station or what have you, but it doesn't really address what we were going for, which was better with sealant and better airflow.
Okay.
So Schrader valve comes up short on both.
And your ExoCores can be used on any rim at this point. That's Presta.
Yes, yeah, any Presta size hole will accommodate an ExoCor. And we have the full ExoCor valve, which uses our Universal Plus valve stem, which is an alloy valve stem. They're insert compatible and so on. So they've got the passages on the back. We have a different shaped stopper. We call it an elongated elliptical stopper that just fits a wider variety of rim shapes better. And then you'll see if you look closely at a Universal Plus valve stem that there's an interrupted thread. And that thread is where the O-ring lines up when you put an ExoCor housing on it, so you know where to stop. It kind of tells you don't back it off any further. You don't need to, but that's all it is. It's there as a kind of a fail-safe to not take your ExoCor all the way off. But otherwise, it's a standard aluminum valve stem. And if you start with Universal Plus and you decide, hey, maybe this ExoCor thing's for me, you can buy the housing separately and upgrade it. We should have some OEMs next year coming with Universal Plus valves installed on the bikes, and then the shops will have an upgrade option for their users if they want a higher flow valve that's a little bit easier to live with. They'll be able to upgrade them right there on the spot to ExoCor.
Now, we're a Norco dealer, and one of the nicest things when we started selling Norcos was to see Stan's rims coming on the bikes. It was, and even their lower cost bikes, you know, relative to other bikes that we sell in the shop, is really kind of made that bike have a way better pedigree. You know, and Norcos are pretty awesome bikes, but then to have Stan's rims coming on a $2,000 aluminum full suspension was pretty awesome. So that's what I liked. You've got, how much business do you guys, how much is your rim business versus your sealant business? Like, you know, like if you had to get rid of
percentage wise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sealant and all the related accessories, tape, valves, etc., is a larger portion of the business at this point. That wasn't the case, 10 years ago. We did a lot of complete wheels at OE and aftermarket, which, obviously, $600 wheel set or $900 wheel set, you've got to sell a lot of sealant to come close. So, it's shifted a bit over time. Tubeless adoption grew. More options became available in rims. The OE bikes came with better rims and wheels, so the upgrades are different than they were a decade ago. But yeah, it's shifted, which is part of us seeing service as being so critical to the success of the shops and to our own success.
Do you guys make your rims in-house? Is that a New York product, or is that partnered with somebody?
Yeah, our very early rims, so if you go back to 2002 to 2005 or so, were U.S. made, not by us, but they were extruded and rolled in California and then shipped to the East Coast. And then we QC'd them and they went out for anodized and they came back for decals.
Yeah.
It was a
lot of
quite
shipping.
the process.
Yeah.
And anybody that's been around a long time knows that Stan had to weigh every single rim himself.
Oh, really?
They would have Stan's handwritten weight in silver Sharpie right on the rim.
Wow.
people loved that, but at the same time, it was a problem. So, uh, yeah, we at some point there, I can't recall the exact year, moved to uh,
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
under Sun Ringley.
Oh,
It
okay.
was so they had a factory in Indiana, and then when they were acquired by Hayes, moved that all to China. And I probably have some of those details wrong. It's been too long, but we were having the rims produced by them in China for a long time, and then we moved production later on to Taiwan.
Yeah.
And today we can produce most of our models in the sleeved and pinned can be produced in Taiwan or Vietnam, and all of the welded product is in Taiwan.
Wow.
So we have three tiers. You mentioned Norco; they've been a great partner of ours for years. We have what most people probably know is our premium alloy option is the Mark IV and the EX3 right now. And then we have kind of we call the mid-tier performance option is the S2. That's a sleeved rim product, and then we have the D series, which was a pinned product. So three different price points, but the biggest thing for us was that tubeless had to work perfectly on all of them. So we maintain the same tolerances largely in the same dimensions to make sure that everybody has a very good tubeless experience regardless of the price point.
Yeah, that was always the thing back in the day. Again, now, like you said, there's been kind of a leveling of the field almost. But back in the day, Stan set the standard. Like they were the standard. So
Yeah, I
now,
sat in a meeting in Taiwan at one time from someone we used to do business with for another reason, and they said, "Hey, you guys are doing a great job with rims. Appreciate the business, but we're going to just have to make some that look exactly like yours now." So that was about the time that it all started to turn.
yeah, and that's a big issue.
They
Like
actually told you that.
oh
Yeah, no,
yeah,
I mean, I'll give them credit. It was right to my face. They said, "We're just going to start making rims that look like yours."
yeah.
So,
I think their way of doing business is different than ours, and like
well,
it
that was
seems
not a
like
Taiwanese company. That was
no.
it's a European company.
Oh, really? Oh,
Hmm.
wow. Oh, wow. So,
Oh, interesting.
yeah, because I see a lot of Asian manufacturers who are like, "That's a great idea. I'm just going to make the same thing." They're like I don't think it's something that they're doing offensive in their culture versus where we see it as offensive. Like you're taking my idea and making it.
Reverse engineering is illegal. Or is legal. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
Legal.
Certainly
And
is legal.
and I think they see it
we've had a
as.
lot of great. Sorry.
I was just going to say, I think they see it as kind of like flattering. Like imitation is a
Maybe.
form of
I don't
flattering.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Read,
So
kiss,
we've
bow, and
had
shake hands.
Yeah.
a number of long-term partners that do respect IP very well, and we're quite happy with that. But I think there are some other less scrupulous or really good reverse engineering groups out there.
Yeah, for sure.
So I want to talk about a product you guys have had for a while, and I am remiss in the fact that I have not tried this yet. And as I was researching it, I'm like, Jesus, why have I not used that? And that's your dart system.
Oh yeah.
And the thing that I'm still using the old bacon strips, and the thing that kind of was that I was surprised to learn was that it's designed and capable to plug a much bigger hole. So I don't know, maybe there's some other folks in the world that are remiss like me. I know the product's been out for like 5 years, but like, tell us a little bit more about the dart.
Yeah, we released the original Dart in October 2019.
Oh, wow.
So we were just trying to get caught up on production. It was very well received when they came out, when all the COVID madness hit, and then we scrambled for a while. But
Like everybody.
so that project came about. I was actually working on a similar but different product on the side, and thought, man, how do we get this to work in a plug type system? And kind of got this random phone call. I remember taking the call from Interbike with an inventor out of Australia. He's been a great guy to work with, and he said, "Hey, I've got this idea," and I'm like, "Are you serious?" Because I've been working on the same thing. Usually wouldn't discuss those details, but he said, "Yeah, I've already filed for some patents." I said, "Okay, then how do you want to do this? You want to work together?" And he's a chemist as well, and was headed down the same path. And yeah, we spent about, I don't know, 18 months refining what he had into practice and developing a tool to install it. And basically, what it is a fabric that is saturated, impregnated with a chemical, just a salt, basically, that um, when in contact with our sealant, it's optimized for our sealant, it reacts instantly and creates a permanent plug. So if you were to take it, I think we have this on some of our Instagram, YouTube, like take a bare dart and just swish it around in sealant, you'll just see it like ball up instantly.
Wow.
Yeah, so the idea is if you get these larger punctures where sealant doesn't work on its own, you install the dart in the hole. It has a little barbed kind of fitting on it. When you extract it, the fabric will be sticking up through, but there'll be some exposed on the inside. Roll the wheel around, sealant makes contact, boom, instant seal, permanent plug.
Is it kind of
So
glue
it's
itself to it?
effectively, yeah, it'll stick to the tire casing and it forms a little ball of sealant right on the material itself.
My most troublesome and most tire ruining, uh, flat that I get is a pinch at the bead. That's the number one because, the sealant wants to centrifugally force it out to the tread, so it doesn't get to the bead very often and you have to kind of shake it around. And notoriously the tire is kind of moving around the bead and kind of moving back and forth, kind of breaking any kind of seal that you got open over and over again. Is this something that may help there? Have you seen
Absolutely.
any? Really?
Yeah, you most definitely can use darts right at the bead. That was a big thing for us in testing. We ride very rocky conditions here, and pinch flats do still happen. And most of us don't use inserts, but it will work right at the tire bead, anywhere in the casing. You can stack 2 or 3 side by side. Yeah, really, whatever you can imagine, you can do with them. It's pretty incredible.
And then casing or insert, you said, is it something that you have to put in where an insert would stop it, or will it?
No problem there at all.
Man, I'm getting some of these. I know we have them at the shop. You know what I've sold them at the shop mostly is to road bikes because we heard that at a higher pressure they work better. They don't work out like the worms or the bacon strips. And
right, they have that little, it's a plastic piece. We assemble all these in New York, so they're welded together, plastic welded together, and it retains the fabric between the two pieces. So
yeah.
The one caveat I'll say is where people do find a failure or have an issue is they try to install them in holes that are too small. So if it's a 1, 2, 3 millimeter hole, you should really let sealant do its thing.
Yeah.
Maybe some people are anxious. I got to try this dart. For real. Do it on an old tire at home. Use a little knife, make a cut to practice if you want to, but we'll make more.
Yeah.
But you try to put them into a really small hole, you can have a hard time.
What's the diameter that you're kind of thinking is optimum?
I think the smallest you'd really want to put in is about 4 millimeter.
Okay. All right. That's a good rule of thumb. So, yeah. If it helps with the beads, I've got like 6 tires at home that I can revive. So,
yeah. They become permanent seals. So if you put them in, mount the tire again, put the dart in, let the sealant make contact, sit for a minute or two, you're good. During testing, we had people here. I ran a tire for 4 months maybe that had 20 or 30 darts in it.
Wow.
I mean, it's not going to cause any problems.
Did you shoot it with a shotgun or something? Like, how did you get
no, you keep putting them in over and over and over to test it. So.
Yeah. We have reps that'll come by with a sealant or a product or whatever, and they'll just puncture it with an awl or a sharpened screwdriver or whatever. Like, it's pretty funny when they first started doing that. I remember Slime did that a long time ago, so when it first hit the bike market. So
you guys are in the land of pokey things out there.
It's really, God, yeah. Everything out here wants to poke you or bite you. So.
Yeah, inject you with poison.
Yeah.
Right, Mike, so probably for the 500th time you've answered this question. Big Flats, New York. Like, Jesus. So you're based in Big Flats, New York. Like,
yeah, we definitely planned that one. We've avoided it for 20 some years of doing the April Fool's thing with it.
Yeah.
It's on the bottle. People see it, they laugh. They think I think we made it up. But no, it's a couple miles from where Stan and Cindy grew up, and it's just where we've been.
That's hilarious.
Originally, our first address though, as Stan's was Horseheads, New York. So we did move down the road to Big Flats.
That is pretty awesome, though.
Never petitioned a town to change the name or anything.
Oh, they should have a Stan's Day or something. Like, I don't know if they do that, but seriously, like, I imagine. Well, how big is your operation? How many employees do you have?
Yeah, I think we're like 36 right now.
Yeah, that's sizable.
Thereabouts. So we have the facility in Big Flats, New York, which is it's actually three buildings on a single parcel, two warehouses, and the main facility that's production warehousing and office space. That's like 27,000 square feet all in, I think. And then we have an office in State College where I'm sitting tonight. I'm not in it, but the office here is largely our sales, distributor sales. Engineering is here, so all the R&D work and most of the marketing team is based here. But State College is a phenomenal riding location. You guys have never heard of it or been out this way. Rocky technical stuff. If you like rock crawling, we've got it. If you like super long descents, you're going to come up a little short, but we've got some gnarly descents.
Nice.
And then we've got hundreds and hundreds of miles of gravel around here. So Transylvania Epic takes place here, the Wilderness 101, number of gravel races, unpaved gravels, not too far down the road. So it's a good spot for riding and testing and so on. And the office we're in now, the local Progressive Skills Park is in the backyard, basically. So we've got that going for us. And I'm also vice chair of board of Rothrock Trail Alliance. We're currently building 53 miles of new trail here. So we'll have 250 miles or something when we're done in the local forest.
Wow.
So it's pretty good.
So
pretty good spot.
Environmentally conscious.
Yeah.
Been in the business forever and advocate for trails. Like I am definitely going to start buying more Stan's products.
We grand opening next week for the first 8 miles of that project, and we'll open another 11 before winter.
That's awesome.
Congratulations. That's awesome. Well, Mike, thanks for spending some time with us. It's been great to get to know you and hear more about Stan's. I've been using the product for 20 years. I have not tried another one because I have had no need to.
Yeah. And I'm anxious to try the WPL a little bit more. I've definitely tried the fork boost and the oils, but I haven't tried any of the other stuff. And then, man, I'm getting some darts. We've got them in the shop. If I remember correctly, they come as a
twofer,
a 2-pack, and then you can buy refills. Does that sound right?
Yeah, so the refill used to be a 5-pack. We just changed that to a 6. And then the standard or the original dart tool was just recently updated from a carbon rod model to a stainless steel rod model, a little bit more durable, especially when you're trying to deal with small holes.
Yeah.
And if anybody ever has an issue with the carbon one, we'll swap you out for a steel one, no problem.
Nice.
And then in that same vein, we last year, well, I should know this, we launched a project with Day Saver tools out of Switzerland with what we call the Incredible Dart.
Oh.
So it's a stashable version for your handlebar. So that's a pretty
Oh, they showed us that at Sedona.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that looks really cool. More machined, and is it in your bar ends?
Yeah, fits in your handlebar if you're running grips without a bar end plug.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Do this little cam mechanism and run it in there. But yeah.
Cool.
That's what we're doing over here.
For sure.
Right on. Well, Mike, do you have any final thoughts for our listeners?
No, I should really have something very profound, but it's 11:05 my time, day after coming home from Europe. So tapped.
Thanks.
That's okay, man.
You did really well, by the way.
Yeah, it's
brother.
pretty much how I feel every day, by the way.
Thank you so much, sir.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah, very good. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.